we were called and are united by a common vision, which has become a command that cannot be ignored. The four of us are here to prevent the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Your family has been chosen to make a horrible decision. If you fail to choose, the world will end. But anyways, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And guys, this is a special video because we were talking spoilers about the movie from this year. We're going to be talking spoilers about Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's new film. But first, before we actually do so, we're going to give our thoughts on the movie itself before we delve into basically everything about this movie, spoiler-filled. So when we get there, I'll warn you guys. But of course, you guys see my guest, my watch-along co-host. Nobody new here to my channel. He's been pretty much on every single one of my streams. My boy, Fritzy.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up?
What's happening, brother?
Nothing much. Today I've been watching Once Upon a Time in the West for the first time. Long movie, but it is a good one.
Very nice. Yes, sir. And if you guys have been keeping up with my channel, I just uploaded my review for Skinamarink earlier today.
I actually have not had time to watch the video yet, but I do know what you think of it. So
it was a horrible movie. It's so boring.
I don't think too different from you, to be honest. I think I got slightly a little bit more out of it than you did, but I don't understand how some people can say, "Oh, this is the scariest film I've seen in a long time." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding?"
It'd be scarier if it was a short.
Absolutely. Like, first of all, I think that movie could have benefited from being way short. Like, it should have been a short altogether. I do agree on that. But I also think that if you wanted to keep it a feature length, I think like 20 minutes easily could have been cut out. Like, to keep it an hour 20 or maybe even less. I don't know.
But they were just like, nah, we'll stretch that to an hour 40 so we can bore our audience.
Yeah, no, that's basically how I felt. I appreciated the vision. I don't know if I would agree on saying it was like shitty as far as like the filmmaking goes. I think the filmmaking itself was good.
The filmmaking was decent. Like, that's the reason why I didn't give it a 0. Like,
yeah,
like the filmmaking was decent. It was like the only thing that prevented me from giving it a 0. But
yeah, it's like I agree. It's like I don't know how anyone could say that it's a badly made movie, but like how well it's written and how well it came out. I like the vision more than I did the actual movie. Absolutely.
But of course, we're not going to be talking about Skinamarink for much longer because we don't want to be talking about it too much just to make ourselves bored again.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a much better movie and probably, to be honest with y'all, I don't know for sure yet, but it might be one of the best movies of the year so far. So,
out of the 3 that I have seen, it's absolutely the best one.
So, yeah, but if you guys also have seen this movie, let us know what you thought of it down in the chat as well, because we also will be reading your comments as we go along. So, but we're not going to try to stay here too much longer because of personal stuff going on. So, we're not going to explain why, but you'll understand. So, let's hit the chat here really quick. We see we got Hunter in here. What's going on? Says he absolutely loved the movie. Well, that's awesome to know.
Nice. We'll be talking about it.
What did you think of Rupert Grint's American accent? We'll talk about that a little bit when we get into our full thoughts.
All
So,
right.
And Matthew Gill, how goes Luke? Awesome channel. Well, thank you, man, and thank you for being here. I think you're a new face to the channel, so thank you very much for coming in, man, and thank you for subscribing. Welcome. And of course, as always, I leave, of course, this guy's link to his channel down in the description box below, and he's getting close to 300 subs, so get him there, guys.
Also, I guess this might be a good time to real quick say, on the subject of my channel, I'm going to be bringing watch-alongs in. We're going to slowly be mixing them in, so stay tuned.
Yeah, keep me up to date, man, because, I mean, if you're my co-host, I can be yours.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So, I mean, don't, like, you always know what to do, man. You know what to do. But without further ado, guys, we are going to get into our thoughts on Knock at the Cabin. So, but of course, it's because I have a guest. He is going to go first in giving his thoughts on the film. But first, we'll just talk about like what we thought of the film, and obviously we'll go over our pros and cons. So,
Okay, so this is the spoiler-free territory.
This is the spoiler-free territory. So if you guys are, so I will warn you guys when we get to the spoiler content, but this is spoiler-free for right now. So if you guys have not seen the movie right now, this is spoiler-free. So, Britsky,
you've been
what did you think of this film overall?
Okay, so I guess I should preface by saying that I have not seen every Shyamalan film that I want to see. Specifically, I have not seen Split. I have not seen The Village. And also, I don't care what you guys have to say. I still want to see it. I have not seen Glass either. But other than that, those are honestly the only three that I have any remote interest in that I haven't seen yet. So keep that in mind by me, like how I think of this as like, because we're going to be talking about Shyamalan as a filmmaker quite a bit. I would be really safe to assume during the stream. But yeah, so take that with a grain of salt when I talk about my thoughts of him as a filmmaker. Because the thing about me and him is that Luke probably even saw, like in a group chat we have with some of our friends, Shyamalan is not someone who I would absolutely call my absolute favorite filmmaker of all time. He has what I would call literally the definition of a very hit or miss career. He's made some
very hit or miss.
He's made some of the best movies I've ever seen. He's also made some of the worst movies I've ever seen. So it's like he literally has the definition of a hit or miss career. I will say, shout out to our buddy John Stew for making a really good point.
Studio Media
that I'd like to bring up. He said that one thing you do have to give credit to Shyamalan, though, even with the bad ones, is that even though the execution may not have come out well, he at least didn't like do it with. At least he tried, I guess. Should I?
Well, he doesn't like try to insult the audience, though. Is what he's trying to do. He's not trying to insult people.
Yeah, like you can tell even with the sucky ones that he makes an attempt to make good movies even with those. Like one example I'll give, which I think is easily the worst film that I've seen by him, with The Last Airbender. So with that movie, his intention was to make a film for his kids, right? Obviously great intentions here. But when you like, as you said, he doesn't intentionally try to offend the audience or anything, but when he does anyway, by making literally the main character, his name is pronounced Ong instead of Aang, it's like, dude, what the hell were you thinking? It's like, oh my goodness.
Or
like,
maybe it could have possibly been studio interference. Like,
I don't know about that.
It kind of depends though, because like usually when films suffer because of studio interference, that's the studio's fault.
Yes, but I don't think as a director though, him being in the director's chair, I don't like you're probably not wrong about some things, especially with that movie, but I definitely do not think that he would allow for other characters in the movie to call Aang Ong. Like, I don't think that one, I think, was just like, I don't know how nobody caught him on that one. Anyway, but we're talking about a stupid movie for too long. So that's back to what I was saying. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on him as a filmmaker. And I have to say, I originally, just because, like, I guess I should say that, like, initially I didn't really care too much about the movie. That's kind of how I felt, and Luke can testify too about that. I don't know. It didn't pique my interest. Luke said himself that it looked like other films. He brought up Straw Dogs in particular. So I didn't like, I don't know. It just didn't pique my interest at all. However, as time got closer to the movie coming out, or as it got closer to the movie coming out, I should say, um, I, for whatever reason, thought it would be fun to go see it with a buddy because we weren't up to much, and I said, "Hey, dude, tomorrow I want to go see this new Shyamalan movie." He said, "Yeah." Um, so we went to go see it, nonetheless, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting much. In fact, I wouldn't have been surprised if it sucked, to be honest. But I think I'm not a very hard person to please, in my opinion. At least I don't think. He knows. Luke knows. He's giggling.
I know it, bro. Don't have to remind me a dozen times.
He does. So here's the thing with me. I don't hand out 5 stars or anything very often. I'm not one of those people. But I'm not a hard person to please. Like I give out 3.5s, 4s, heck, even 4.5s decently often. Because like I said, I'm not a hard person to please. If it's a good movie, I'm gonna enjoy it. And if it's more than that, then I'm gonna really enjoy it or love it. And I would say out of the Shyamalan movies that I've seen, this is definitely one of the better ones. Absolutely. Um, I'm trying to think. I think I've seen 5 of them, 6 maybe.
Let's see. You've seen because I'm trying to remember. You've seen The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, Lady in the Water.
I think. Okay. So actually, we'll stop there actually because so this is what I'll say. So I would say my top 3 at least before I had seen Knock at the Cabin. I would have said it probably would have been Unbreakable, The Sixth Sense, and Signs. I think Knock at the Cabin actually is probably number 3 now, to be honest. I think it probably is number 3. Like I said, the reason why I had to bring up Split, Glass in the Village is because I haven't seen those, and there's a possibility I could like those, and it would beat Knock at the Cabin. But from what I've seen, I don't think it's quite as good as Unbreakable. I think The Sixth Sense is a little more, I don't know, smart, a tiny bit more smartly done of a movie. Even though there's the argument that it relies on the plot twist, but whatever. But I think it's better than Signs. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Signs is a movie that I don't think it's a very super. I don't think of Signs as a super rewatchable movie or anything. But I do think it is I did enjoy it more than Signs. Absolutely. So for it to be better than, I don't know. It's one of the better movies of his career that I've seen. And I think a lot of people also are with me in saying that it's one of the better movies that he's made in a while, too. A lot of people are saying since Split. What do you think about that?
I do think it is his best movie since Split. Because I loved Split. That is my second favorite of his. Well, and also because I know you haven't seen Old, but there are some camera tricks that Shyamalan tries to use, but sometimes it's a little bit nauseating because it's not like sometimes the shots are not focused on what it should be. It's just pointed off to a different direction, and it's just like, okay, you're being a show off. But in this one, he actually kind of takes his craft a little bit more seriously and actually giving us like good camera angles and not just being like, oh, look how cool this is. Look how stylish this is. Like,
yeah.
Because if you looked at it like that, you basically would be looking at a Baz Luhrmann film.
Specifically, I will touch on that. This is not really a spoiler because we're not getting into the story. But at the beginning, and I will in a second need to go grab a drink in a minute after this thought because my throat feels a little parched. But so I was gonna say, but speaking on the camera angles, like I said, there at the beginning, there's this one sequence where there's a conversation between Dave Bautista and our little girl character,
Kristen Cooey,
and I really loved how it was like tilted. Their faces, I guess, like the camera was like tilted at an angle facing towards them, and then when it switched between the two characters, it would go the other way and would flip flop. I thought,
it's done in a much like when they tilt it, it's done in a much more creative way. Like it's not just so like stylistic or anything. Like it's not style over substance.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But so yeah, I guess spoiler free wise, that's all I can really say. It's probably good that we are doing a spoiler discussion because yeah, no, there's not a ton you can say about it without getting into the spoilers.
There's a lot to spoil, man. There's a
There is
lot.
so I guess I will leave. I know I kind of rambled about Shyamalan as a filmmaker, although we're gonna have to, I guess. Like, there's no way we can't about talking about this movie. But that being said, I think I will leave my while I go get a drink real quick. I will leave my spoiler free thoughts at being it is absolutely one of the better films in Shyamalan's career out of the few that I've seen. And I definitely think if you guys are even the least bit interested, like even if it's just like, yeah, I might check it out, go see it in theaters. Absolutely. It is a theater worthy movie. All
Yes,
right.
for sure.
I'm gonna go get water. Luke, go ahead and give your spoiler thoughts or spoiler free thoughts.
There you go. So yeah, while he's going to go get a drink, guys. So my spoiler-free thoughts. First, I'll give off a little funny story. So since when I found out that this film was playing on a Thursday, actually was playing on Thursday night, at my local movie theater, I was when I was hearing so many good things, I was like, I need to check this out. So I decided to go opening night, and I was gonna have my brother take me because I don't drive. And my dad texted me and asked, "What were you gonna go see?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go see Knock at the Cabin." He's like, "Mind if I go with you?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he thought it was gonna be like a simple little scary movie, but if you go in thinking that Knock at the Cabin is gonna be a simple scary movie, I don't know what to tell you because your expectations for that will just be completely subverted. And it is a pretty like I don't know what to say, man, but this movie is pretty ballsy. Like like it takes some interesting twists and turns that you wouldn't expect Shyamalan to do. Like, and that's something I kind of loved about this movie is that it's the twists and turns that it takes because it's a movie that's going to cause conversation and also a movie that's going to make you think throughout like what's exactly going on. So
Absolutely.
And that's something that I love about films, that if they can take such a simple storyline and actually do something really creative with it, make you think, and also have it cause conversation after the movie is over, you know you're doing something right with your movie. Like,
I think if you go to see the movie with somebody, there's no way you won't be talking about it afterwards, because the thing is, it is one of those movies where and again, this is not really a spoiler at all, but there's going to be a point in the movie where after it ends and like you guys are just sitting there for a second, you're going to be like, well, what if I was in that character's shoes, what would I have done? And then if you guys, especially if you have two different opinions, it's going to make for a very interesting conversation. So
yeah,
if
and
the movie can stick with you like that, you know that it did something right. Absolutely.
yeah, and like once you get to a certain, again, I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, because when you get to a certain point of the film where things just turn, you're in for a wild ride from then on out. So,
Yeah.
but let's get into, so before we get into our spoiler filled thoughts, obviously we're going to go through our pros and cons of this movie. So basically, pros are positives about this movie, and cons what we either were mixed on or we didn't care about with this movie. So
Yeah.
of course, take it away, buddy.
Pros. Okay.
Yeah, pros first.
I would say every performance for the most part is good. Um, some are better than others, mostly due to the fact that some characters um just are given a little more screen time, I guess. But other than that, the characters that is, especially those that we get a little extra time with, they really do get even more time to shine. So that's really the only thing keeping some characters at different levels of, like, I don't know if I had to like rank them or something, like keep them at different
Talking about
places.
like just like between the two dads, the daughter, and the four strangers.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that if like I said, if I had to like rank them or something, it wouldn't be because one is like I would think is objectively better than the other. It's more because certain characters we just get more time with.
Well, and
Because
also you understand what they're wanting to do. So
yeah. Um, so that being said, um, there is that. I would say specifically my favorite performance would have to be from Dave Bautista. Mostly because I think of him just in what I've seen with him in acting. Uh, well, first of all, we need to talk about the elephant in the room here is that he's a WWE star. So like, so there's that being said, and also with him being in Glass Onion, and of course for a while before that playing Drax. He's definitely more of a goofy kind of guy, I think. Um,
like he plays it mostly in action roles, but he kind of plays a goofy character.
He's always kind of a goofy guy. And that being said, this movie was different because I would not say there was anything the least bit funny about his character, which was a very different thing to see from him and something I really liked. What I call it a dramatic performance, like freaking I don't know,
like Brendan Fraser in The Whale or Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love or something like that.
It's well, actually, I don't know. I wouldn't bring that up.
Or
do it because Punch Drunk
or
Love
Uncut Gems, basically, or Uncut Gems. I should
Uncut
say.
Gems. Okay, that's a little better because I was about to say Punch Drunk Love. It's more serious than what he normally does, but I would still say it's kind of comedic. But nonetheless, yeah, Uncut Gems would be a better example. No, it's nothing like that kind of serious, but it absolutely is like it's definitely
Like
quite a bit of a different shiftal tone.
It's basically like Jason Bateman and The Outsider, basically a darker turn.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So I really liked seeing that change of scenery from him specifically. I also think remind me of the little girl's name again.
Kristen Cooey.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it's her first movie. So, holy crap. For her first movie and her being a child actor, it definitely makes my mouth drop a little bit. I'm like
yeah, like
it was fantastic.
Basically, kind of playing into the shoes of Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense, because I'm pretty sure that was his first movie, was The Sixth Sense, and if it was, I'm impressed. And same thing with Kristen Cooey, because she's a child actress, and if this is her first movie, damn, dude, she gave a good performance.
I guess I actually also should bring in the fact that going hand in hand with that, and I mean, I guess that's really mostly what I'm going to touch on for acting, keeping the spoilers out of it, because that leads me to another point that I guess I have to say about Shyamalan. He's really, really good with getting good performances out of children. I think he understands. Like that does really come down to obviously a talented child actor or actress is going to be talented regardless. But I think it takes a good director to really get it out of them. He has to understand them. He has to, I don't know, get down onto his knees, look them in the eye to eye, and then really get them, I guess. And I think throughout Shyamalan's career, he's done that a lot. I mean, Bruce Willis's son in Unbreakable, The Sixth Sense obviously has an amazing child performance, and then with
the kids in Signs.
Yes, even The Visit. Now, The Visit's a little more funny, but I mean, heck, Shyamalan must have had so much fun telling the one boy actor in The Visit saying "Oh, you're gonna freestyle in this sequence." He had to have so much fun doing that. There's no way he didn't. He has to have that. I guess that really. I don't know if Shyamalan has kids or not. I don't know that off the top of my head, but he has a good way with kids. I think with getting good performances out of them, and he absolutely did that with this movie too. This was no exception at all.
Yeah, and he's not so hard on the kids. Like you can tell that the kid he can see the kids eye to eye, and actually like he can see that they have like a good performance in them. So
Yeah, and then obviously I would also say that I think it would be really safe to assume that he probably helps them with their confidence and helps them really get themselves out there and whatnot. And hell, of course, he's gonna like obviously start new careers for some of these people too. Like I can't wait to see, excuse me, I can't wait to see what she does later. Like she did a great job in this movie for sure. Um, let's think other positives. I think I would also say one thing about this movie that I did like is that we're going to talk about it a little more in the spoilers, I guess. But one thing I will say is that there is if you've seen the trailer, you know that there is a gay couple in this film. And I think the movie did a good job of having this message about, coming out of the closet or like, coming full circle with like talking to your parents and whatnot about homosexuality and stuff like, or with their parents, should I say, um, about that subject matter without it getting overly preachy, I think.
yeah, it's
Um,
not so overbearing where it's like you know those like church type of movies where they get like so overly preachy, like about
yes.
Christianity or God in some ways, basically.
Yeah.
This movie
Um,
doesn't really do that. So
yeah. So this movie, yeah, no, absolutely. There was like, I don't know, I guess an acceptance kind of a message about, I don't really know how to word it, but I guess that's the best way I can. This acceptance message in the movie without getting overly preachy. Like it absolutely got the message across, but not in a way where it felt shoved down your throat or overly forced or anything like that. So I think this film's I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of messaging in this movie, absolutely, but that is one of them that I think was absolutely done well, um, but just not overly done. I guess it knew it knew its boundaries. Should I say? Well, I don't know if boundaries is the right word, but it knew how to do it the right way and how to execute
right.
it well. Um, so that absolutely was a really well done part, I thought. Um, Hmm, I mean, overall, we're going to talk about this in my cons, I guess. But for the most part, the visuals, like we'll just talk about like I don't know things such as cinematography or whatnot. That looked good. Color grading looked really good, especially because the color grading would switch from scene to scene. Specifically, there are some flashbacks in this movie, and the flashback color grading had different color grading than like the present tense sequences, and that was all done really interesting, which goes in hand with the editing. The editing was well done. I mean, really, most technical aspects you could say about this movie were well done, honestly. Um,
Yes.
so that's I guess that's where I'll end my spoiler-free positives.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right into the head. But you're pointing into the flashbacks. I'll get into that with my cons with this
Okay.
movie. So, but obviously it's gonna be spoiler free when we get to that part of this movie.
Yeah.
But you hit the nail right on the head, dude. The performances are great, especially from Dave Bautista, who I think just turned in his best performance of his entire career, like because it's a much more darker turn. To kind of play into Hunter's question a little bit earlier about Rupert Grint, doesn't get enough, like no spoilers. He's not in the film for very long, but for what he gives in the movie, he does a good job.
He does do pretty good, yeah.
And he does have a good American accent. I'll give him that. He does have a good American accent. So
Yeah, I thought it was decently done. I think it's a little funny that we made a foreign actor play like the most American character in the movie, which is
yeah,
kind of
at
interesting. But it is what it is. It was a pretty
leads
decent
into a
accent.
few twists that we'll get into. So
Yeah.
But yeah, the camera work is great. I mean, it's Shyamalan, so you're obviously going to get some good cinematography for the most part. So, and and I know a lot of people have their things to say about the ending, but I thought the ending was really well done. Yes, it does end on a whimper, but it still works because of that twist.
Yeah,
So
I don't get the hate with the ending either. Like I really did like the ending, and I don't know how it could have ended differently. I I might be talking out of my ass with this one, but I heard that it does go in a different direction than the book, which some of the fans of the book found a little disappointing, I think. But you know what?
but that's
Honestly,
the thing, though. We haven't read the book,
yeah. So we're not
so how are we supposed
we
to
don't
know?
have knowledge on the book. We're just talking about the movie. So if you have your own problems with the film, um,
That's fine.
because you're faithful to the book, then fair enough, I suppose. But we don't have the knowledge of the book, so
Exactly. A troll in here. So, anyways, that was off
no
topic.
troll.
Yeah, exactly. But also and I do think that the script for this one does stand out amongst most of Shyamalan's other movies, like that have pretty poor scripts for the most part. Like, but I think this one does really stand out amongst the pack. There's not like any dialogue moments that I'm just like, did that come out of someone's ass or something, or what's going on here? Like,
No, all the conversations were like there weren't any that I thought came across kind of cringy or not well written or anything like that. Like, um, I would say absolutely there was not really any bad dialogue moments like in terms of like the writing of this movie, but also another thing I guess I should that kind of goes hand in hand with that about any times feeling a little off. I don't think that this movie also had really good pacing too. Should I say?
yes,
It is it is a like it's not a long movie, but it's a normal length. However, it definitely like there was never any boring moments. Should I say? I was always hooked, always intrigued, and it goes in directions you wouldn't expect.
yes,
Absolutely.
for sure. So, but yeah, that's gonna nail it on the head for our pros about this film. Now we're gonna get into our cons. Spoiler free, of course. We'll get into our cons. So take it away.
All right. My biggest con with this movie. Um, I would say something that really stood out to me is that now there's not a lot of CGI in this movie, but in the parts where there is, I thought it looked really stupid. I'm sorry. I did not think it looked good at all. Um, that's why I wanted to focus on the cinematography and the visuals in that sense when we were talking about the pros, because that looked good, but the CGI and those types of special effects whenever we did see them. Like I said, there's not a lot of them, but they did look really dumb, in my opinion. And we'll talk about the specific ones in the spoiler territory. But yeah, no, any CGI moments in this movie, I was not with. I was like, oh my gosh, this literally, it does not look very good. I think my main issue was that this movie is rated R, and
Yes.
I felt like we saw PG-13 rated graphics with the CGI, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was the biggest thing I think for me.
Well, the thing is, though, like because it's rated R, that obviously means we're gonna get some gore, morely than we would in PG-13 movies.
Yeah, but even then, I would say like with any like icky moments, I would say that there was more of that in The Sixth Sense, which is rated PG-13, but
Odd.
somehow some way with an R rating, Shyamalan still managed to give us what felt like a when it came to the graphics of the movie, excuse me, when it came to the graphics of the movie, what felt like a PG-13 rating. I would
But the
say
main reason why this film is rated R is because of the language.
yeah, the language is the only thing keeping it at a PG-13 rating. Which I guess I should also say, if you, if because everyone is different, and I know there's definitely some people I know personally where they don't watch rated R movies, and that's fine. But I would say that as long as you're not bothered by strong language, like if you can handle a few f bombs here and there, whatever, like, and it's also not overly done. It's not like fuck this, fuck that, fuck. Like it's not like that at all.
It's not like
Wolf of
it's
Wall
not like the Wolf of Wall
like
Street.
yeah,
basically.
like no, the language in this movie, like it's really not overly done. So if you're not don't have a problem with language, I would say absolutely watch the movie because that's the only thing really having to add to R rating mostly. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Other negatives. I would say another thing that would keep this movie back for me a small bit, and I think honestly what keeps it below The Sixth Sense is the fact that it's not a movie I would say is very rewatchable. Because there's some films out there when it comes to the rewatchability. I'll give a good example with End of Evangelion. When I saw that movie for the first time in January, I already, the second the movie ended, wanted to watch it again. That is good rewatchability. For me, when Knock at the Cabin ended and I was giving my letterbox rating, I think the main thing keeping it from being a 4.5 is going to be the rewatchability. Now, rewatchability does not necessarily mean everything. I mean, I certainly, I'll give you a good example. The Nightmare Before Christmas is my third favorite film of all time. Was my second forever, and that's not a movie I can exactly roll on in July or August. I mean, I could, but for the most part, I'm gonna see that anytime between October and December. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
rewatchability doesn't mean everything, but yeah, admittedly, how many times you want to see a movie over and over, or if you do watch a movie over and over and over again, obviously that means it's good, right? So, take that as you will. It's not a film that I would say that I would be willing to rewatch super soon. I do at some point would I like to see it again? Absolutely. Like I know I want to watch this with my parents for sure. But do I need to see it in the theaters again? No. Do I need to buy it right away on physical media? No. But that's just me. Maybe other people feel different, but it's not a movie I feel like can be watched on a crap ton of viewings.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm not gonna lie. I kind of see you buying that steelbook that they announced.
I haven't even seen the steelbook, to be honest.
I'll send it to you when we get done. So
okay. Anyway, so
the steelbook does look nice. So.
Those are my negatives. My spoiler-free negatives.
For me, I kind of have a couple different negatives, and I did give it a lower 4 out of 5. Spoiler alert. But anyway,
I mean, not really. If anyone's following you on Letterboxd, then not really. But
yeah, but the reason why is because the reason why it was not close to like a low 4.5 for me is because the flashback sequences I honestly thought were very unneeded. Like, even though one of them does lead into an interesting twist, but I just kind of feel like it was holding the film back from being an instant classic because of those flashback sequences. Like, I didn't really need to know about the two fathers' relationship and how they were able to obtain. I'll say that for spoilers, because what I was about to say was about to lead into spoiler territory. So I don't want to do that.
I think I know what you're trying to say, though. Even like that being said, I know why you didn't like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also the first act of this film I thought was a little bit odd because it didn't. I mean, I know it was shown in the trailers, but at the same time, it kind of felt like with what they were going for, it didn't really feel like the film was even heading anywhere. Yeah. Until like I said, where a certain thing happens in the film where things just turn. And then it just becomes a wild ride. So, and then that's why I can kind of forgive that little negative, but still at the same time, it's still, I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But but the more I do think about this movie, the more I like it. So maybe I might raise my score on a rewatch. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's absolutely been a grower for me too. I don't know if I see it being a 4.5, though it's I would say like on my personal like letterbox rating, a 4 is when I say it's a great movie. I would say it's a great movie. 4.5 is amazing. Amazing. I'm not sure about amazing, but great, absolutely.
definitely for sure. I do think it is a really good movie, but but 4.5, like on the lower part of the scale is when I would say it's a great movie. Um, but I would still say I would love it though. But at the same time, but on kind of on the lower half, I would say I really enjoyed it. But that depends. So,
Well,
but yeah,
I will say too. I guess I should really quick also throw in there. Um, yeah, I've seen 2023 films so far. I've seen Skinamarink, Infinity Pool, and Knock at the Cabin. And it's definitely, in my opinion, the best out of those three. I would be really, really surprised if it was the best of the year, like definitively. I do not think that will be the case.
I
But
don't know. There's no way that will happen. Like,
but best film of the year as of yet, absolutely,
yes, but is it
absolutely.
going to be the best film of the year by the end of the year?
I don't.
Probably
I
not.
really do not think so. But as of
Because I mean, we
yet,
have like a bunch of other movies to look forward to. Because we got like, what do we got? We got Scream 6, we got John Wick 4, we got Super Mario, we got Evil Dead Rise on the way,
Creed, Bo is Afraid. We got tons of stuff. So
Creed
yeah, no,
3.
it's
Yeah,
absolutely not like I. But you know what? As of yet, like I said, it is the best movie I've seen so far. Yeah, for sure.
definitely.
Because Infinity Pool I think sucked. Skinamarink. Okay, yeah, I would say Infinity Pool is my least favorite of those three. Skinamarink, as we said earlier, I appreciate the vision. I like what they were going for. I'm happy what it meant to the film industry. I'm happy that people still care about supporting indie films because it did pretty well at the box office for how low budget it was. So I'm glad that people care about indie films, and I think more people are starting to, which is awesome. But other than that, all those things I appreciate about it, I wouldn't say that saves the movie at all. But this movie, I absolutely would say is by far and away the best film of the three by a whole 2 star higher.
For
By two
sure.
stars
But
higher, should I say?
but yeah, I'm gonna hit this chat here really quick because we need to get into our spoiler thoughts.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see. Matthew Gill says, I'm new to the channel. Like the reviews. Thanks, brother, for the reviews. You are welcome. And without your guys' support, I would not be here doing these reviews.
I mean, you know he
Or,
loves to do them, so yeah.
or hell, I wouldn't even be here with this dude, like even talking with them or doing any of these watch longs that we've been doing.
And if nobody watched the watch alongs, who knows? Who knows if we'd even be doing them for this long?
Exactly. Like if nobody watched them, I'd be like calling it off. But sometimes I kind of just separate that because it's something that I love doing. So
Yeah, like we would absolutely still watch movies together. I mean, we a little while ago we watched Bodies together, like not live, but we did watch that just for fun. But yeah, no, so we still would do it, but we wouldn't. But live stream wise, who knows if nobody watched then? But you guys still show up.
I think it would be mostly film series, mostly that I would be thinking of.
Yeah,
because
but
we get a lot of views on those. So
yeah, but yeah, no, it's like, but you guys still show up. You guys show up and show out. I mean, heck, and you even come back long after the reviews or the streams have been up. Long after.
and that's why I love doing this for you guys. So Hunter just subscribed to Fritzky's channel. Sounds great.
Oh, hey, thank you.
He says he loved Glass and Split. I did too, actually. Glass was a good movie. Yes, it was.
I'm glad to see Glass fans in
Becca says, "What are your thoughts on the Scream 6 leaks?" I've not heard about that. So
I
moving on.
Yeah.
Dell, what's going on? Says, haven't seen this movie yet, so I'm not sticking around tonight. Well, then what are you doing here? But I did want to pop in and show a little support. Oh, well, thank you, man. I really appreciate
Thanks,
you,
bro.
Dell. And go check out Dell's channel if you haven't already. He's a really good content creator. And the entry man's in here, where we just gave our thoughts on Knock at the Cabin. But also, if you want to hear some more spoiler-free thoughts from me, go check out my review. All right, here we are, folks.
The past 45 minutes, literally.
So we're gonna have to spend around 30 minutes or so on spoilers. So, but here we are, guys.
All right.
The spoiler talk for Knock at the Cabin. So if you have not seen this movie, fair warning, please leave the stream and go see this movie on the big screen if you can, or just wait till.
Get the fuck out of here. Kindly.
Bitch. Kindly. But yeah, please leave the stream and go see this movie on the big screen, or you can wait till Peacock if that's a choice for you. And we're going to be talking some spoilers here. And then if you guys did see the film already, feel free to stay. So first things first. This film opens up in a different way than what we saw in the trailers, because in the trailers we saw the cabin by itself. But when they start the movie, it's obviously after the opening credits, we see when I think that's what it is. When somebody will correct me now below.
It's when.
When. Okay, thank you. Basically collecting insects, and she says that she loves collecting insects, and that's what she does at school. So, and then we meet Leonard, played by none other than
Dave Bautista.
Yes, sir.
This giant motherfucker just comes out of the woods.
Yep. He's just like, hey, who are you? And I'm I think I'm I don't know if I'm a little bit taller than Dave Bautista, but we kind of would match the same height at least, so I wouldn't even be scared of him.
I'm not going to lie. When that scene first started, the first thing I thought of is, did they not tell? I mean, and he did come across friendly, but even that being said, did her dads not tell her to not talk to strangers? That was the first thing I was thinking of, is if this big ass guy just comes at you. Ever since I don't know about you, but ever since I was a little kid, do not talk to strangers. If they tell you, hi, I have puppies in my van, do you want to go? They're lying, and we'll get into that, about.
Or heck, even hey, I got a bunch of movies in my car. You want some? And then they just stuff you in the trunk.
The very first thing I thought of is, why is she still talking to this guy? And then he explains that he's just looking for a friend. But then you can tell. But at that time, he's lying, because his three partners basically are coming in with weapons. Well, and then the other thing too is I don't know, it reminded me of some Pennywise shit, trying to be that's how it works. Like Georgie and Pennywise kind of thing. It's trying to be friendly with them. That's how you lure them in.
Right.
Anyway, so that sequence was really interesting, because one thing, this is now we're getting into spoiler pros, I guess. This movie does not fool around about jumping right into the business. My friend that I went to go see this with, my friend Valenzuela, shout out to him. Valenzuela said the only thing keeping this movie from being a 4.5 for him was a problem that I really did disagree with him on. And we talked about it the whole car ride home, because I did not see where he was coming from. Well, I guess I saw where he was coming from, but I could not get behind it. And his problem was, he did not like the opening, because he thought it was not getting into it. He didn't think the movie actually started until they started breaking into the cabin. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't know how else it could have started, to be honest.
There's no other way. I mean, obviously, if the film started with how it did in the trailers, that would have been fine too. But because obviously then we wouldn't understand.
But that would have been jumping into it a little too much, I think. That would have given no character context at all. Like we got to meet Wynn, we got to meet Leonard, like we got to slightly meet the two dads. Of course, it's after the shit's going down that we do, but
Yeah, but like, and then
like I
obviously
think if
later on,
we
it's a
jumped into
flashback.
like
So
right
it's a
as
flashback later on. So,
if we jumped right into where the trailer started, I think that's getting into it a little too fast, if you ask me.
but sometimes when they just really want to get into it, and like basically when they do that, they know they want to hook up their audience.
I
Basically,
think this was a good way of getting into it really fast. Like we really do just get straight to the point in this movie,
and that's
while
good.
still
That's good.
while still getting to know two of the main characters and not doing it too fast where it feels off. Because I think if we did jump straight in to where the trailer puts us in, like, because that was Valenzuela's problem. He said that he didn't really think the movie officially started until they got to the cabin, and I was like, I think if they did
They
that,
were already at the cabin when the film started.
well, no, I mean more. He means when they're breaking into the cabin, and it's like, okay, well, if it did that, I think that would have been way too fast, and I think it would have felt off. I'm glad we got to know Wynn and Leonard before.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, but once we get into that point, the characters are, or I should say, the strangers, I should say, after a big fight breaks out, um, the strangers introduce themselves one by one, which is actually pretty unique. We never get to see that on film before. Like we never get to see the villains of the film introducing themselves and basically telling a little bit about themselves.
Well, I wouldn't
Like we,
exactly call them villains, but
well, technically they were the villains because obviously they're the strangers.
well, I guess they
So,
would be villains up until that point to the main characters. But,
right. But yeah, and then after they introduce themselves, Leonard explains that there's an apocalypse going on and that one of them has to sacrifice one of the other to prevent the apocalypse before the world ends.
I have to say on that note, obviously I'd seen the trailer about the about up until that point, but the part about them what really the premise of the movie is when they got to the fact that there would have to be some kind of sacrificial you know thing to happen. I didn't see that. I was like, what? And immediately it jumped into the premise of this movie is what would you do in these character situations? Because I think what made it interesting is that I did have a really strong feeling that they were telling the truth, although it wouldn't have surprised me if they were lying.
Yeah, because
but the thing is though, even though that being said, I did have a really strong feeling that Leonard and his buddies were telling the truth. However, what's really interesting about the way it was done is even though I thought that's how it was going to go, in the viewpoint of the two dads, when these random people show up to your house in the middle of nowhere wielding these weapons and telling you that there's a supposed apocalypse coming and you have to kill one of your loved ones to prevent it, obviously they are going to sound like some insane people. And even though I, as the audience member, had a feeling Leonard was telling the truth, I thought to myself, but wait a minute, in the viewpoint of the dads, if I were them, I would think they're nuts,
Right, because but the thing I love about about this film is that they kind of mess with the script a little bit, basically. Like they mess with the audience, basically. Like you don't know if they're telling the truth or if they're just losing their minds. Like
it was really interesting to see that.
Yeah, because it reminded me of the Steven Soderbergh movie Unsane with Claire Foy. basically where she's being she's convinced that she's being chased by this guy that has terrorized her, and you don't know as an audience member if she's losing her mind or if she's telling the truth. Yeah. So that's something that I love about Knock at the Cabin. It was kind of taking a little bit of an idea from one scene and just leaving it in your mind a little bit, and it really does work for the film's benefits. And while we're at it, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point in the film where things turn. Okay. So it's the first day when the strangers take the family hostage, and they refuse to sacrifice one of the other. So what happens is one of them. So basically, one of the four strangers is killed by the other three. So, and who's the first one to go out?
I think it was Ron, the lady, right?
No, it was Ron.
Or
Ron was the one to go out.
Oh, I was right. Okay, I got.
And I was like,
the only one I remember was Bautista was the last one. That's the only. That's the only
obviously he was the last one because he was kind of our main villain.
Well, basically. I mean of the strangers. I mean, I remember him being the last one to go. That's the only one in the order that I remember.
Yeah, because he was the last one to introduce himself, so that you could tell that he was going to be the last one standing.
Yeah, that was kind of a go figure moment.
That's kind of there. But Rupert Grint's the first one to go out, and he goes out. I think in regards to, we'll get to the last one later, but in regards to the way that they go out, he gets the most brutal one. Honestly, he gets the most brutal one.
And also, I heard you when I was coming back in saying that this movie gets ballsy. A very ballsy choice that this movie does is having a very well-loved actor, especially in the Harry Potter community, of course, die so fast and so early on in the movie. Like, I think he was probably next to Dave Bautista, the face of this movie that was being the most looked forward to see, especially because a lot of people, even my friend, the cowboy, shout out to the cowboy, he was saying, oh, I might actually go check out the movie because I'm just happy that, because he's a huge Harry Potter fan, I'm just happy that Ron's back to doing movies again. And I'm like, he's gonna be so disappointed.
For sure, man. But
I had to hold my tongue because I was like, oh my god.
Bite your tongue there. Bite your tongue.
I had to. I was like, oh my god. If that's the only reason you're gonna go see it, you might be a little sad.
So Rupert Grint's the first one killed off, and they hide him in some place in the cabin, basically. So basically, it's one of the four strangers, as you can tell, sacrificing one of the others.
Yeah.
So, and as things go on, obviously, because it doesn't take. The thing I like about this movie is that it doesn't just take place over the course of one day at the cabin. Like there's one day, one is killed, and then the next day another one is, which I really admired about this film. And there's also some news footage, of an apocalypse going on. So, like, once Rupert Grint was killed, there's some news footage about an apocalypse going on. Like, it was a tsunami. So I think it was a tsunami.
Yeah, it was. But I have to say though, one thing that right away at that point made me have even I was like, okay, I would be surprised if they were lying, to be honest, about why they showed up. At that point, one thing that I was thinking about, because they said, oh, what if they just pre-recorded them and showed them on the TV? I was like, how would they have done that? They would have to have come to the cabin already and put it on their television. But it wasn't when they tuned it on, it was live, and they actually flipped the channel and went to it. So it's like they could look on the guide and see, hey, it's live,
For sure.
So I was like, I knew it was not pre-recorded.
Yeah, exactly. And So that was like one instance where you could tell that they were telling the truth, but at the same time, you don't know if they were lying. So
Well, I had a strong feeling they were not lying, but again, in the viewpoint of the characters, that's where the movie gets kind of smart, because even though you might have a good feeling that the strangers are telling the truth, you have to remember the characters are like in their right minds. The fact that this is a movie put aside, they would be like, these people are insane. They had to have pre-recorded this and whatever. Like they would absolutely think that,
exactly, and there's a point in the movie where the flashback happens between the two dads, and then they obtain Wen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is this really needed? Because if this film was cut down to at least cut down to 90 minutes, it would have been like a simple, fun ride, basically.
So with the flashbacks, I think the part where they were going to the parents, that did add for some good messaging, as I said earlier.
Yeah, the messaging is good though. I mean, but at the same time, I kind of just felt like they were forced.
I would have to say the part with Wen though, I don't know if that one like would have affected the story too much if it got taken out. Not really, in my opinion.
I'm just saying though, because it kind of made me, because sometimes those flashbacks were leaving a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because I was like, are these needed?
The one with Wen, I would say needed, no.
But of course, it's how they decided to presume that.
Yeah.
And so we're on to the next day, and we find out that they decide to that they refuse again. They refuse to sacrifice one another. So the woman that said that she had a son that's sick, I'm pretty sure, she's killed. And again, she's hidden somewhere. And then newsflash that another thing that would happen in an apocalypse is on the newsreel. So, but again though, like I couldn't predict that twist, and at the same time, it was just like there's something going through my mind here. There might be something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something here. And then at one point, they essentially, the two dads essentially escape their chairs that they're tied to, and a huge fight breaks out. And again, the movie gets pretty ballsy there, but I think the ending is a little bit more ballsy than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand that, like what they were actually trying to achieve. But anyways, but it's not that the black woman that I think it was Ben Aldridge starts shooting at. There's no way that he essentially killed her, because she just ran off.
Yeah.
And so basically it's implied that she died, but we don't know how. And that's what kind of made that scary, was because they left it up to your imagination of how she could have possibly got killed. Like, and I love when films have ambiguity to basically leave it up to your mind. They don't just be like, they like leave it in your mind for a second, where it's like you think of the certain possibilities that could have happened.
So I have to touch on the ambiguity. Specifically, I think this movie it has a very 50-50 of a score for me when it comes to the balancing of the ambiguity, because I think there's some ambiguity that's really really well done, and there's other parts where I felt like the movie explained itself. Like, for example, the thing with the son, when they go to the vehicle and they see all of the belongings of all the characters, specifically when you see the photograph of the woman's son, it's like, oh, it makes it even more heartbreaking, because we know that she was telling the truth, and that now she's dead, right? And like that's like what makes it so, that makes that part of it really sad, is that they weren't telling
especially
the truth,
with that, especially with Dave Bautista's character when he
with all
says
those
that he was a when he said that he was a basketball coach.
Yeah, so it adds a really saddening thing because it's like, well, had they acted faster, they could have potentially saved these sacrificial people in a way, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing though. Other times, so that was really well done because that was food for thought. The movie never tells you, oh, it's sad that they could have saved these people. That's something that you as the audience member um, feel. That's a good example of showing not telling. That's like the biggest rule in film is showing not telling. Like we know that, but it's not because the movie explicitly told us. Though other times the movie did not do that so well either. It did do it well in some aspects, but not in others. Like for example, excuse me, the four horsemen of the apocalypse symbolism.
Wait a minute.
The movie did not.
Wait a minute.
What?
That's the twist.
Yeah.
That is the twist.
But the thing is, the movie did not, in my opinion, need to say that. I think that people would have figured that out for themselves, I think. Like, even my friend Valenzuela, when we were talking about afterwards, when we finished the movie, when we were talking about, the Four Horsemen thing, he was like, "Oh, you didn't see that? Like, you didn't realize that earlier on?" He's a lot more into like, I don't know, mythology and stuff like that more than I am, and he's like into folklore and stuff like that. So he caught that right away. But me, I'm not as familiar on stuff like that. So I said, no, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not catch on to that. And had the movie not said it, I wouldn't have known that. But also, I feel like it would have been a strength if the movie did not explicitly say that, because I feel like if I watched like a video essay or an analysis on the movie, I feel like someone at some point would have made a video saying that this is the underlying uh, symbolism in the movie, is that these people are the representations of the four horsemen. I don't think the movie needed to outright say that, because they do that. They're like, they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It's like, it didn't need to do that. Let the people let there be messaging in there where it didn't need to not everything has to be said, like I said. And that's why I said that some of it is well done. Like Shyamalan, I think, knows how to do it somewhat, but not fully, because I also see that in his other films as well. Like for example, I think even in Unbreakable, at the very end, I guess we're gonna spoil Unbreakable now, but at the very end of Unbreakable, um, when it shows all the flashbacks of Mr. Glass planning all those terrorist attacks, it didn't. I think I love the twist itself, but the fact that it explicitly showed him doing it, I think the ending could have been a little creepier if somehow, some way. And I get it, Bruce Willis sees the visions actually happening, and that's his power. But I feel like personally, the movie would have had a lot more creepy and a lot more well done and more of an ambiguous ending had the flashbacks not show Samuel Jackson literally freaking making like the train derail and things like that. It didn't need that. And so, but at the same time, say with Knock at the Cabin, like the fact that, how we were touching on earlier, the movie doesn't tell us that it is a sad thing that these that these horsemen are real people and people do care about them, and now they're dead, right? The movie doesn't need to tell us that that's sad. We know that. But so that's why I say Shyamalan knows how to somewhat do it, but not really in other regards.
Well, because that's kind of the thing with Shyamalan that I come to accept at this point, that he likes explaining his twists. But yeah, I've accepted it at this point because I know
it's just him, I guess.
So, yeah, and again, I really like the twist because at the same time, when I left the theater, I had to do some research on that twist because I was like, "What was the twist?"
Well,
because it messed with me. Like,
the thing is, I feel like as a film in the filmmaking regard that explaining your twist too much. Obviously, if a movie has a good twist, it needs to kind of be touched on. But like, I love twists where it's just there's enough build up to make them work. Like the thing is to have a good twist. I'll give you an example. I've been reading. Oh, here it is. I've been reading. If anyone's any manga fans out there, I've been reading Smashed by Junji Ito. It's a collection of short horror stories, and a lot of them have twists in them. And even though these one thing that Junji Ito is really good at with twists is that somehow, some way, he's really well able to do a thing where, despite the fact that the stories are short and we don't get a lot of time with the characters, he really masters something that makes a good twist. And that is, there needs to be a reason for the twist to work. It needs to make sense. It can't just happen out of the blue. There needs to be a good, solid reason for the twist to exist. And on top of that, also, I like one thing that I think that Shyamalan does not do is that he just, like you said, he kind of over explains it and goes on and on. Whereas, let's say, arguably the best twist ever in film, I Am Your Father in Star Wars. Like, we don't need to go over it. We don't need to keep going on and on and on about it. It's one line and that's it. And it's nice, simple, and boom. But
like just one line out of all of it, and then it's just like boom, we're done. We're not gonna explain our twist.
But here's the thing. Think about it, how different it would be if he goes, "No, I am your father," and then he goes, "When I was a young boy, I was turned to the dark side, and then I killed all these like." It didn't need to do that. That's over explaining it too much. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm kind of getting at?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. It because at the same time,
if Darth Vader did his entire backstory, it would kill the mood so fast. But because he leaves it at that, it makes it really dark, sinister. It messes with your insides. Like, that's a good twist, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean that twist definitely caught me off guard because after, again, this is because as I said in bold letters right here, spoiler. When Dave Bautista killed himself, that's when it's revealed that they were the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yep.
And so when one of the dads reveal to the other that they were the four horsemen of the apocalypse, one of them had to sacrifice the other to actually stop the apocalypse. So they actually were telling the truth.
That was when they really realized that they were not lying.
Yep. So then, I think it was Ben Aldridge that shot Jonathan Groff, and then he goes off and gets Wen, and they drive off. But the movie doesn't end there, because they go to a diner and they find out that the apocalypse has stopped.
So, I have to also, that leads me into a really good bridge into what I was going to say about the CGI. So I don't know why, but the CGI in this movie, in my opinion, just did not look good. Like, I think the planes falling out of the sky just looked ridiculous. Like, it literally looked like something a kid my age on freaking Adobe could do at home. It didn't look like something that was funded by a big studio budget that these expert editors supposedly could do. It felt like something, I don't know, I could have literally just done myself if I learned how. But then even not just that, like even just smaller stuff. Like, I thought when the cabin caught on fire at the end, I thought the flames looked stupid. Like, but that's just me. I think the sequence that looked the best, I would say, that like the closest to the best, I wouldn't even say calling it the best, I would just call it the better one. I don't know about best, but I would say the better looking one would be the tsunami, just because I think water is, I don't know. I guess water can look a little goofy. Like, I mean, look at some outdated movies and you'll see. But I thought that was the better one. But even then, like when I don't know, this movie could have done more, I guess, with the CGI. You know, the
But
graphics
obviously
did
they
not
have
look
to
amazing.
get a little bit more of the budget. So,
Yeah, the graphics did not look amazing in this movie.
but
But obviously, I can't
yeah,
talk
once
about planes falling out of the sky in the spoiler-free territory, so that's why I had to wait till now.
yeah, but once they leave the diner, they play the song that they played in one of the flashbacks and also was in the trailer. My boogie shoes, and I was like, I need to jam like that a little bit. But I mean, that's where a lot of people say that the film ends on a whimper, and I'm like, it ended just fine. Like,
I didn't have a problem with it. I think like I don't know how else it could have ended. Just like how I said, I don't know how else it could have began. I don't know a better way it could have ended, to be honest. And like I said,
yeah,
we haven't read the
because
book, so don't get on us about like, you know, it not
having
being
not having the knowledge of the book.
But just going off the movie, I don't know. I couldn't have made a better choice.
Yeah, because if they think that we're supposed to have the knowledge of the book, they're obviously sitting around with their thumbs at their asses, basically. And obviously, those type of people are idiots, and they're basically trolls. So, because that's what I'm saying, they would be sitting around with their thumbs up their asses. So, but that is just gonna about do it, guys, for a spoiler talk for a knock at the cabin. This is not gonna be the last time that Fritzy and I will be doing spoiler talks, because if you guys are keeping up with our watch-alongs here, we will also be doing a spoiler talk for Scream 6.
Yes.
So when that comes out, and also when we have time. So
that'll be fun. Absolutely.
And but yeah, it's been a great time. Of course, thank you to my man Fritsky for coming on here tonight. Where can they find you, man? Also, if you would like to, you can plug us also going on this weekend for my channel as well.
Sweet. Okay, so you can find me at Fritsky22 on Letterboxd, Fritsky on Music Board, YouTube, Serialized, and you can find me at McGritty_Alex25 on Instagram. Thank you so much I know we got a couple new subscribers just in this stream, so thank you guys so much for the support. Can't wait. I have things that I'm working on for my channel. It's been a little rocky with school, and plus I felt a little disappointed with the way this certain video was coming out, so I have to restart that. But I have more in the works. I promise. I'm working on it, and also look forward to some watch-alongs coming up soon as well. So, thank you so much.
You are welcome, buddy. And also this weekend, don't forget, guys, set your calendars. February 18th, this Saturday, same time as usual, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are watching Scream 4.
Scream 4 watch-along.
And we're almost done. I'm trying to get a good panel of guests lined up, because we got Eddie coming back, we got Zach coming back, hopefully, and trying to get a couple other guests lined up so that way we can actually have at least a big party.
I'm excited for it, because the thing is,
you haven't never seen it.
Yeah, it's the only Scream movie I have not watched. I'll see if I can get Goose. Well, I'll see if I can.
Yeah, obviously she'll be in the room with you. I gotta hit these last comments before we head out, because I've been ignoring the chat for the past 40 minutes. Lucas is in here. Says, "Hey Luke, what's up? What's up, Lucas?" Nick Gur Studios, what is going on? Nick says, "Yo, Luke, bro, my bro Fritsky, my guy. What's up, buddy?" Yo. Bo is in here. What's going on, buddy? It's been good. Thank you for asking, Lucas. Says he's watching Cobra Kai. Very nice. That's a kick-ass show. But yeah, again, look forward to Saturday. We're going to be talking about we're going to be watching Scream 4. And as for content you can expect from me, guys, I have reviews coming for Phantasm 3, A Man Called Otto, and At Midnight. I have reviews coming for those. And as far as reviews from the theater, obviously I'm going to be seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So, because, beginning of Phase 5, and also, what else we got? We got Cocaine Bear coming out. We got
Creed 3.
Creed 3. We got Scream 6. We got John Wick 4, Shazam 2, Dungeons and Dragons, and of course, It's a me, Mario.
Yep.
Super Mario Brothers, my most anticipated movie of the year. But before we go, actually, have you seen the new commercial that they posted for Super Mario Brothers?
I'm not.
It was at the Super Bowl, and it was a plumbing commercial for the Mario Brothers.
Oh, really? That's actually really funny.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, the Mario Brothers were originally plumbers. So before they obviously became video game icons that we know them as now. So
yeah.
But we're not going to take up too much of your guys' time anymore because it's been a good night, and we will see you guys Saturday night.
Thanks
Peace
for watching,
out.
everybody.